they will be working overtime hours just to get by, because they can't possibly get by on the wage that they're paid without working incredible amounts of overtime. And when you're working up to 15 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, you know, your 2-year-old child just doesn't see you. You know, they don't get to see their children.
The kids can't even go to school. How are you going to break a cycle of poverty and have real economic development if you have a whole lost generation of children that aren't even educated? I'm walking down this dirt path into this village, and I see this massive pile of scrap shoe rubber that I later learned came from one of Nike's factories, and piles like that get dumped there all the time, and the end result of these piles is that they get burned in that village in the big open space where kids play, and the burning fumes, I learned from the company that designs Nike shoe rubber, will give off toxins and carcinogens. Kids are paying the price. And they're the ones with the chest infections, and they're the ones that are going to develop cancer. When we were in Indonesia, we made attempts to get into a Nike factory, because Nike claims on their website we have nothing to hide.
I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
Good.
We went over to Nike's corporate offices, and Nike denied us that.
We're unable to accommodate that request.
So long.
See ya.
Nike headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon had faxed an info sheet out to all the factories to be placed on the wall for all workers to see that read, if you are approached by Jim Keaty, Leslie Kretzer, or Mike Pirantozzi,
do not speak to them. They're only to speak to management. There will be severe consequences if you're found talking to them.
And they know from their management how they're supposed to act. And if they don't, there's some severe ramifications, anywhere from significant harassment to death. And I mean that in a very literal sense. You know, certainly management of the factory didn't want us to be there, and it was kind of frightening because we several times tried to get into the factory.
We weren't out of the van for more than 3 minutes, and there was security like surrounding us, and then the factory managers came out.
What's going on? We're outside a Nike shoe factory right now. Security's kind of surrounded us.
They're like, you know, what are you doing here? Well, you know, why are you here? It was frightening, you know, because who knows?
Security guy here tracking us down.
From that moment, we were tailed by factory security, the Preyman, or the local mafia. The local mafia certainly works in conjunction with these factory bosses. The factory bosses are, some of them are just brutal, ruthless, hired muscle to keep workers in line. And we met with one worker, Giulianto. He told us, because he was union organized and he was trying to form an independent union.
He was threatened at gunpoint. He had his house ransacked. He was given death threats, and he had to flee back to his home village because, you know, in fear of his life. This is literally a life and death issue, and this happens at all the factories.
You know, every worker that we talked to, there's this struggled with this fear, this culture of fear that just permeates the air. That, yeah, they want to tell you the truth and try and fight for their rights, but they also want their kids to have a father or a mother. They're dealing every day with the threat of losing their lives for doing this kind of work. I mean, they show tremendous courage in light of that. We were able to meet with a woman by the name of Dita Sari, who had been organizing Nike and Reebok factory workers at the age of 23 and was illegally jailed and put in prison and tortured.
In 8th of July 1996, I was arrested by the army, the local army in East Java. They kicked me and they used their fists and their sticks and their booth to hurt me and to torture me in front of the workers to show them an example.
I think that the majority of workers are saying, look, we don't want you to pull out the jobs. Like, we want to work. We like to work, you know. We want to make the shoes. We were proud of what we do. But we don't want to be exploited. Like, why can't you just let us meet our basic needs?
We're talking about food, clothing, housing, healthcare, education, being able to take care of your kids, and some modest savings. That's not a tall order. Excuse me, do you guys know where the Nike campus is?
Yeah, you hang a right on Walker,
Yep.
and you'll see it on your southwest corner.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we're on Nike's campus right now. It's a little bit different than the factories in Indonesia, just a tiny bit.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi.
Cutie.
How are you?
Hi, good
Nice
to
to
see you.
meet you finally.
Yeah.
Listen, I was hoping we could set up some time when we could talk. I'm really concerned about the workforce in Indonesia. You know, I spent the summer there living with them and living on the wages that are paid to the factory workers.
You worried about that?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you call my secretary? Let's see what happens.
I did. I called Lisa last week. I called Beta. I called Dusty. I called Brad Feigl. I called
You're
Amanda.
gonna have to talk to somebody else. Maybe we're gonna talk to Dusty Kid.
But, I mean, you're the guy. The buck stops with you, right?
Yeah, it doesn't start with me though.
I know, but I mean, I don't know who else to talk to. I
Talk
tried.
to Dusty Kid.
He doesn't want to talk to me.
Well, then I guess you're gonna get through then.
But you're the man. I mean,
Thank you.
you're the man that needs to.
I appreciate your concern, but I'm having lunch with a friend and
No,
we'll talk about it.
I
You don't
apologize for interrupting
Sorry
your
about
lunch. I mean, I've come all the way from New Jersey to talk to you about this.
Well, I'm not talking to you.
I've gotten stonewalled at every turn. You know, the workers had asked of me that I try to bring you back to Indonesia to meet them in their homes, not in, you know, the office in Jakarta.
Do you understand? No. You just gotta know. I'm not gonna talk to you about it.
Phil Knight, the CEO of Nike, or Michael Jordan, or Tiger Woods, or Mia Hamm, or any of the other people that are really making a lot of money because of the way that Nike does things, should care about these workers because they're human beings.
When I see people like Tiger Woods get $100 million just for wearing the clothes, we're saying as a society, like, this one individual, because they play golf well, is worth more than 700,000 people.
Here's what he makes. We'd made up these wage charts and have him look down at it and then look up and say, Tiger Woods makes enough in a second to buy me a house. Why? I work hard for the company too. And, you know, what do you say to him? Well, hey, that's the system. Deal with it, you know, suck it up. It's capitalism, survival of the fittest. Guess you're not the fittest. Nike is in Indonesia for one reason: cheap labor.
It's an ideology of maximizing profit at all costs to humanity and nature. And it's this entire, like, a vicious cycle that starts with the heads of the corporations that want to make a great return on shareholders' investment.
Some people say, well, hey, that's the way things are. That's the American way. It's capitalism. That's the American way. No, the American way is democracy. That's what our country was founded on. A belief that all people are equal, that there should be a respect for democracy, for human rights, and for the protection of human life. That's what we're about as Americans. We've spent the last year and a half traveling around the country, visiting over 100 schools, high schools and universities, 15,000 students. So how are you feeling about the turnout?
I'm feeling pretty good about the turnout.
What are you thinking about the turnout here?
It's great. This is the best possible turnout.
And we try as best we can to introduce them to these human beings and say, as students, as high school athletes, as college athletes, as consumers, you've got tremendous power. And because we can't fly them over to Indonesia, we bring Indonesia to them. And if we can give them that spark, even if it's one or two on that day, that's going to multiply. And eventually we'll reach this critical mass and we'll have a great harvest. And the harvest will be truth and justice and fairness for all people. Something's wrong here and we can fix it. It's a necessity.
The tipping point is now.
At this point in our history, we need a story like this to be told.